there are the main bifurcation would be two types of consultants. One would be technical and one would be functional. Functional as in they'll have domain experience. As you have been, you have actually built up the domain experiences because you have also worked on technical side, the programming side. For you, experience was the key in building the domain experience. But generally, when people are had into functional roles, they carry, like for example, in finance specifically, they would have some MBA finance degree or CS or CPA or some finance related course they must have done, having some financial domain. Similarly, for sales and distribution, manufacturing, all those individual modules, HR. Whereas technical side, we have majorly three roles that we can allocate to technical consultants. One primarily would be ABAP consultants because ABAP runs through across SAP. The basic building block for the complete SAP system is ABAP. Then comes the XI. XI is exchange infrastructure. Like when two systems are made to talk with each other, where one being a SAP system, the other system may or may not be an SAP system. So how do we interface those two systems? How do we make those systems talk to each other? That interfacing basically would be done using XI. So there's a whole set of consultants which do the interfacing work. Then we have BIBW. Now, since we know that when we do processing in SAP system, it is an online transaction wherein we don't have much analytical data because we don't keep much of history data on SAP system. Apart from the scenarios wherein we need to keep 1 or 2 years of data, then we will not have much data onto SAP system. It's rather the aspect. But whereas in BIBW, we have analytical processing, it will have historical data. But that set of consultants would be different because there you'll be having more, complex queries and will run through all analytical kind of systems. But basic MIS reports, like day-to-day operations reports, that would be prepared in SAP system because those systems would be having the transaction data or the data which is getting processed in day-to-day scenario. So in that case, ABAP is common. So these are the three main, roles a technical consultant may have. Whereas a functional consultant, based upon his personal domain experience, can carry any one of those roles. So, is that okay? Or do you want to?
Yeah. A quick question on the XI. I just was curious there. So when you say, when two systems talk, it could be one SAP to the other or one SAP to the outside world. So does it have its own protocol by which it talks, or is it more of a programming that goes behind it? What?
It is the main advantage we have with SAP is that most of the things, I would say 50 to 60% of things are already there because they have generalized the product so much that only if you have very specific customized requirements, only then you'll have to put your own logic or put your own business logic or put your own code inside. Otherwise, it would be more generic. When you talk about any module, you talk about any kind of programming, maybe ABAP, XI or BI. Most of the things would already be available. So here, when we talk about interfacing, the main thing we have to keep in mind is the structure or the data format that are used by the individual system. The system A and system B. The main thing in XI would be converting the data from system A in a format compatible to system B. So how does it happen? There are standard ABAP classes that get built when you create those kind of structures. And in those classes, there will be methods which actually be interfacing with each other. There will be methods created on both the sides, like on system A side as well and system B side as well. We'll be writing code on those methods which will actually talk with each other. So as far as coding goes, it will be minimal to the level that you are converting data from one format to another format. So the basic structure of the architecture around it is already pre-configured or actually pre-built by it.
I see. That's very well explained. Yeah, got it. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah. So these are the all the modules of SAP, and base is ABAP. Now, when I say base is ABAP, it's like all those modules. What SAP, you already know that what SAP has done is it has taken generic processing logic from all the individual domains and built a product. So if a company goes on for say a FI system, it will have all those pre-configured business logic already built into SAP system. What we need for our system would be for the organization per se, you would have to configure that particular system. So, but whatever those systems have been built, the basic programming language that has been used is ABAP, because these are also kind of products, individual products. All those individual modules are products which are created using ABAP programming language. So hence you could say that ABAP is like kind of heart of the complete SAP system. Without ABAP, system does not exist. So all these, they are around SAP. And whenever there is some change or modification at the very granular level, it is change into ABAP system, change in the ABAP code. All these modules, they are built across the SAP system, are built around ABAP system. And I guess you are aware of RC system, or should I
No.
What RC is?
Yeah, I'm aware of it.
Okay. So this is actually an advantage for me, because I need not go into nitty-gritties of all those things, because for someone very new to ABAP or very new to SAP rather, who don't know what RC system would be or
Yeah.
So now when we say SAP system, what exactly goes into making those projects implemented for a given client. So these are the four major divisions in which a consultant can work. One would be like SAP has given product A, you directly install it on your organization server and you're ready to go. You need not have much customization to it. You are happy with whatever SAP has given. You're happy with those general functionalities and you need not add more customized functionalities to that. So that is one scenario. So that is very practical. It is not very practical scenario, but it may exist with little customization here. Second would be like whatever SAP has given, but you want to add some more functionalities to that. Now, how would you add those customizations? It can either be a minor tweak here and there in the standard functionality, or it can be a complete development of that particular business where we call it together. So when I say, for example, when I say my a document number, FI document number, it starts with XYZ number, but as per my requirement, I need to generate a functional consultant has that basic knowledge that yes, this might be because of so reason. So you can go ahead and try to find out whether that actually is the cause of this, and then actually solve the problem without anybody there, or rather any technical consultant. Third would be debugging, as we said. While even developing some solutions, or if we have some issues, we might have to go and debug the code, like what might have gone wrong in that processing logic, because some things they are not very straightforward. Only when it actually executes, you know that yes, this might have gone wrong, but that would only come into picture when you are actually in the live system, when you are debugging. So that debugging knowledge, it is not a rocket science. It's very easy and simple. But if you have that basic knowledge, you will be more equipped to handle such issues without anybody's help. Then the windows you were talking about earlier, those are specific name in SAP would be user exits or body or enhancements, you can say. User exits, they are windows which are static windows. They don't change. So those windows, once defined by SAP, those are fixed. So you have to have your code inside those windows, or you cannot have it all together. Then there is slight more modification and more flexible version of those
Java for some time in the past. So the whole concept of encapsulation and all that
Okay,
classes.
you are aware of that, right? Interfaces and classes and methods.
Yeah.
Okay. So it will be, make my life more easier. Bodies are what? They are interfaces given by SAP. So interface would be like SAP tells you that on that particular point, this can be your input and this would be your output from that particular added. Now it is upon you to build your own class, build your own method based on the interface what is given by SAP. Now here the flexibility we have in terms of developing your own code vis-a-vis developing user exit is that user exit is a fixed window. You cannot change the location of the window. You cannot change the execution of that window. But whereas in body, you can have multiple implementations of a given logic for a given window. So suppose there is a window which calculates a plus b, for example. Now here your input would be a and b, and it calculates c. But you want to, instead of getting that calculation, you can have your own class wherein the inputs and outputs should be same. Input would still be a and b, and output would be c. But here you can change the operation. You can make it multiply, or you can make it divide. So based upon certain conditions, those are called filter bodies. I could be going deep into it, but those are different versions of bodies wherein you can have a conditional call to different business logic based upon whatever the business requirement you have, which is not possible in user exit, because user exit is a single window, it's a static window. You can only have, in this particular example, you can have c is equal to a plus b. You cannot have c is equal to a into b or a divided by b, because there is no scope for writing that different versions of that same logic. But whereas in body you can have multiple implementations of same interface, and hence you can have multiple business logic. So based on some condition, a particular business logic would trigger and execute and modify the standard execution of code. So these are details pertaining to the windows we have in standard SAP options. This point, I would say, troubleshooting with technical perspective in mind too is like when, as a functional consultant, you are looking into an issue. As in, we face this particular problem rather every day, because when a functional consultant is looking into an issue, he would always have that one-minded thinking that yes, it can be related to config, or it can be related to technical change or a bug. Once importing that particular object, if you go ahead and change the object based on user requirement, because there you are tampering with actually standard SAP objects, which SAP obviously will not support.
Yeah. One second, gentlemen. I'm just interjecting. I'm actually taking off, but you guys can go ahead and.
So yeah.
Yeah, keep it.
Advantages of learning ABAP for everyone functional consultant.
Yeah.
Now, you have any more queries, any of those points?
No.
I guess given your experience, you would be be rather more familiar with all those issues, because we already have faced all those issues, I guess.
Yes, as I said, I have worked on the Oracle financial system for 3 years. So there was always a check and war that the end user comes in and says, you know what, we need this, and right there the the functional guy will say, no, you can't do this. Oracle won't let us do this. If you do this, it won't be supported in the next upgrade. So we all the time the end user, and I honestly telling you, I was, as I said, I worked in the Oracle financials for 3 years, and most of the times the end users are not happy, because at least based on what I heard is that Oracle financials is a little bit more disjointed pieces of tools and apps which somehow they are trying to plug in, and there's no continuity, there's no proper flow, and all linked together, but they had to go to totally different areas, totally different screens, and reporting was a big nightmare. All kinds of problems, and that's one of the reasons why I decided to get into another ERP, not Oracle Finance.
Yes, but that is the, I guess, primary, leverage what SAP has, the integration point.
Yeah.
It has integrated all the modules so well, then not only domain-wise, but technically as well, that it is very easy for, user of one domain to completely switch to a given module in no time. Just he has to build on the domain knowledge. Everything is taken care. That integration point is, very, it is actually cashing in on that particular point.
Yeah. You can keep going.
Yeah. Now, till now we discussed what would be, advantages of having, ABAP knowledge and how it helps you to, design better solution and so on and so forth. Now, we're coming to what actually ABAP is. And what are the tool sets you have when you go for ABAP programming. So now, and then advantages of knowing, ABAP programming as a language, as a programming language. So, first of all, ABAP stands for Advanced Business Application Programming. So, and since it is so robust and integrated, it is because of the reason that it is object oriented. Because object oriented, as you may be knowing, it helps in encapsulation. Plus, the main, catch point of being an object oriented language is that it has vast amounts of scope for reusability. When one object, once developed, can be reusable, can be inherited multiple number of times. So that not only saves code, but it leaves no option for redundant processing or redundant data in the system, which makes system more integrated and more robust in terms of application processing. So that object oriented point also helps ABAP to integrate all those modules together, because one object maybe from FI would be having some set of attributes or some set of methods which would be pertaining to some other module, but they are in the same object. So you can have the multiple use of that particular object in both the modules, or rather in any number of modules it is reused. So that helps in integration a lot. Then, as we talked earlier, SAP, what it has done is it has taken all the generic, processing logic or business logic, as you call it, and made a generalized product. Now it is up to a given, business client, or now building your own logic is also not building a product from scratch. Because here, when we say you're building a customized logic or complete application program by yourself, you're actually only writing the business logic. You need not care about the database underlying it. You need not care about the system architecture underlying it. Because when you develop a completely new product, say when you develop a Java-based product, you have to take care of the database, take care of the architecture, all the layers you have to very carefully handle. But here, it's just the code you write. But everything is taken care by SAP architecture. So it helps in increasing the proficiency a lot. Because you need not, as a programmer, you need not worry about the database. It is already, fine-tuned, because whatever transaction data goes into SAP system, there is very, rather seldom probability where you will be defining your own database master table. Because all of the master tables, I would say 95% to 99% of the master tables are already built in by SAP. In rather very, very rare scenarios, you have to build your own master table. We will have multiple number of transaction tables here and there. But master tables will be always SAP. So here you need not care about the database. Database is already there. As soon as you have some transaction, it gets stored into those tables. So for when you are writing an application program, you just have to play with that data. Either you take data from SAP, process that data, and do whatever you want to, like create MIS report, upload files, be shown to the user. You just need to get the data. You pass on that data to already built-in technology called ALV, and rest everything will be taken care of by ALV. ALV is like it will display whatever data you have into tabular format, much similar to having an Excel report, wherein you can do summations, you can have scouting orders, you can have subtotals, you can export those files, we can do a lot of things using that particular tool. The only thing you have to do is generate the data and pass it on to ALV. So here you need to take care of how you will be sorting the data, how you will be doing subtotals, aggregates, all those things always taken care of the ALV. Maximum we have to do is pass on the data and handle whatever events will occur in the standard ALV too. So this along with many other things make a programmer's life very easy, because you just have to think about the business logic, not other things like how will you present the data, or how will you actually build the database system so that it is a robust database, or rather RDBMS system wherein there are no redundancies in the database, it is properly normalized. All these things, as a programmer, there is no point in thinking that, because it is already done by everyone. We just have to use it. So there will be less development effort required compared to other programming environments. As you have worked in a lot of programming environments, you have to take care of all these things. But here, you need not. Then there are something called function modules, wherein it's a standard business logic which may or can be used in your given program, application program. So these are basically kind of I would say reusable tools wherein you just pass on the input data, it will process whatever logic under invoices in no time. So this is leverage we have as a ABAP programmer vis-a-vis the other programming environment. Hence, it helps a lot in concentrating more on the business logic than on other things which are irrelevant here in SAP. Then, as we already stated, that SAP has given all the standard database, the database design itself, they have designed the database, so all the master tables of different modules, all the transaction tables of different modules are already integrated. So you need not care about how a data from FI would be linked to data into MM. The integration is already there. You just need to pull out the data. So that, having said, makes the life of ABAP programmer much more easy.
Yeah, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Now, if I understand right, say suppose the company, decides to implement SAP, but they have been using a legacy system for the past 10, 15 years.
Okay.
Now, if I'm right, I'm trying to connect here. It's basically the standard function modules that
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
So in that situation, obviously they have to put, that company X has to put all this legacy data from their old systems into SAP. So am I right in stating that standard functions can help them, instead of going through the screens and inputting it, they can run these standard programs, as the example that you gave again for invoicing, and it could be anything else. They can run these standard programs behind the scene, which could load the data from the legacy systems into the ABAP. Am I right?
Exactly. You are very right in stating that particular thing. Because it actually happens. There is something called a tool called LSMW. It is Legacy System Migration Workbench. And it is primarily meant for a functional consultant. Because with, I would say, very less or no ABAP knowledge, a given consultant can create that LSMW application and actually port data from legacy systems to SAP system. I would say with very minimal help from technical consultants. So there we do the same thing exactly. What I was mentioning, the BAPI thing, that is business application programming interface. Those can be used. Any other standard function modules can be used. There is something called BDC programming, which is like batch data communication. It you can actually build that application, LSMW application, and actually start putting data from a legacy system to SAP system. Because there are 14 predefined steps, and they are in chronologically ordered sequences. So as and when you finish first step, it goes to second step, and it is very simple interface. I mean, UI is so well designed that a functional consultant can use it with very minimal help. Only part where technical consultant comes into picture is deciding what all functional modules can be used to process that particular data, legacy data. And if there is some recording, like batch data communication, it works like Excel macros. You record for a given invoice, you record for a given instance, and you can repeat those steps for multiple number of records. So that if you have to record a particular processing steps, like for example generating an invoice. So the steps involved would be you go to a particular transaction, you key in some data, you migrate to different tabs and different fields, key in data in all those fields, and finally you hit save. So these are 8-10 steps involved in creating a single invoice. So what a technical consultant would do is, for a given requirement, he will record those particular steps of a given transaction. Once those steps are recorded, it can be part of a functional module or can be implemented as a part of application program. And we just hand it over that program to a functional consultant. He just needs that program. That's it. Rest everything he can configure by himself. Nothing else. He'll just follow all those 14 steps one by one and configure that LSMW application, and it will be ready to use. This actually happens in background. Here we can leverage SAP standard functional modules to a great extent. And to be very specific, I guess you'll be knowing what API means, application programming interface.
Yeah.
You know that, right? So it is like extension to a given system for outside world.
Yeah.
API is exactly the same thing. API is business application programming interface. So what it does is it allows external systems to interface with SAP system using its input-output data. So external system, if they want to post some invoice, there's a API which posts a particular invoice. So they just have to put in data and then make RFC call to that particular function module, put in some data and execute, which will actually get executed onto SAP system and will end up generating that particular invoice. This functionality we can leverage for multiple invoice, which we can do like we can ask that particular system to send us all the records at once in a given file. Say 1 lakh records. We will read all those 1 lakh records into an application program in SAP, all that particular function module, and automate the invoice generation process. So it not only saves onto manual effort, but to great extent cuts the manual errors that can be generated. And it is very effective because we can build on more functionalities, like once a given invoice is posted, or say once a batch of invoices is posted, notifications would be sent to so and so stakeholders that this particular processing is completed. This whole process is integrated and automated. So only once you have to develop it and schedule it for the rest of the application development life cycle. So we will keep on reiterating that particular step as and when we have the file input data.
Yeah. Okay. Now, as far as the last point is concerned,
the paradigm shift in creation of database when you are creating it in SAP compared to when you are doing it in another environment. This is completely shift.
I see.
So
I see. But
here, what you do is SAP has already predefined all those structures. Only the physical thing is how it gets stored. How it gets stored, not the structure part of it. It's the baselining database. So the designing part SAP is already defined. Where it gets stored depends on an organization, whether it has to use Oracle database or DB2 or AIS or whatever.
I see. So what you're saying, I see what your point is. So okay, so that was what which is always intriguing me, and I was never clear on that. So what you're saying is that
Baselining database can be anything. And majorly, if you see, what I have seen in all the projects I have been to, it's primarily Oracle database, or if like for financial organization like us, we have both. In some of the systems we have DB2, and in some of the systems we have Oracle.
I see.
More,
Okay,
administrative point of view, I'm not sure why they chose Oracle in some instances and why they chose DB2 in some, because there are, technologies like the administrative technologies that are involved in, deciding a particular database.
Yeah,
That I'm not
got it.
privy to,
So
but
yes,
I know that it can be, any underlying database. Only the design part is already predefined.
I see. So given, say suppose a company wants to implement SAP, they can choose whatever, whether they can choose DB2 or they can choose Oracle or Sybase, doesn't matter.
Exactly.
They can choose whatever they want to. So since the design is happening from SAP based on the dictionary, it uses that to basically create it.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. Understood. Right.
Okay.
It's more like, creating your own Excel sheet and saving it either on an XP system or a Unix system or a Mac system. It's like that.
Yeah.
The Excel sheet or the rows and columns will be decided by you how it looks. But the designing, would be anything.
Yeah. But based on your experience, say suppose they go for DB2 or Oracle. Now, as ABAP programmers, we code some of the things, the information goes there. But does it happen that at some point of time, with performance, does it need a database administrator to really tune that, the underlying, say suppose the information
Yes,
gets saved?
that's what I told you. There must be definitely some deliberations that will be going behind the scenes in choosing, the underlying database. I'm not privy to those details, but obviously, for us, rather, if we are, insulated from that fact, because for us, it is, native SQL that will be writing in SAP ABAP. So, it will be native to that particular system. Like for us, for instance, it is SAP. So supposedly, if you have to write non-native SQL, then there also you have a provision to do so. But for us, it is native SQL, more often than not. So for us, we are rather insulated with the fact that whatever database is underlying, we rather not care about.
Got it. Yes, got it. Well explained. Keep going.
Yeah. So yeah, these are the few advantages of having an SAP. Now, this is not an exhaustive list, but these are the basic building blocks, I would say, or tools which you will be using in SAP development now. So this is first a data dictionary where you actually build or design, if you have to. Suppose you have to create your own customized table, the customized structure, all those data dictionary elements, then you will be using this data dictionary tool. When there are graphical reports, then these are more of a non-interactive static reports where the user just wants to see the data. So given input criteria, user wants some output. That's it. He is not concerned going into detailed level reports for the same. Then comes the interactive report, wherein user wants to interact with whatever data he sees on the screen. So for example, whatever event he has, that event will be handled by us in the program and accordingly we process it. If he wants to drill down a particular given vendor or drill down a particular invoice, or rather drill down a multi-company code level invoice to find the basic primary company code for the same output. For whatever reason he wants to drill down, he can go ahead and select and choose whatever functionality he wants, and you can build that function. So there's interaction involved even after the initial set of output is displayed to the user. You can have requirements of further interactions with that particular output you see on the screen. Then coming from reports, we have something called module 2, which is dialogue programming. You would say it is a non-web version or rather I'll put it in different words. It's, a web version of a in-house or program residing on the same system. In web, we have access to internet and we can, choose to execute it from any location we want. But here, it's basically on the web. But here in module pool, you'll get screens. You'll get different screens. You have all those functionalities that you can have or think of on a web. But here, it would be, more of residing onto a particular organization only. If you want, you can take it to web, but it's not. There's something called ABAP Web Build Pro, which uses those functionalities. But normally, like whatever screens you see, like transaction FB01, FB02, FBL1N, all those customizing transactions, they are all built on module pool. So we see different screens, we see different tabs, but just that it is not on the web. So that is module pool or dialog program. Then we have function module. As you already said, it is creating reusable components which can be leveraged in multiple instances in different programs or different systems or wherever you want. Function modules can be made as RFC function calls or normal function calls as per the requirement. The daily report, as you already discussed, is adapt this viewer, which gives more formatted output in a tabular format with all those functionalities of sorting, subtotaling, aggregate, export to any HTML file or Excel sheet or whatever you want. Those functionalities are built-in functionalities. So you just have to pass on the data and you can generate report. User execution bodies, those are the windows given in standard SAP objects, which you can use to have minor changes to currently existing SAP logic. Mind you, here we cannot make major changes. So it does not even allow you, because for that window your input is very limited. You will not have access to all the data existing in the SAP standard processing, which is going on in memory at that particular time. You will have access to only objects which are passed in those windows as input. So you can only leverage those many input fields. So the functionality is very limited, and it ought to be so, because SAP would not want someone to play with its own centralized options. If they have to, they either can go for full customization or at their own risk they can change the standard SAP, which is not feasible or should not be done rather. And last is the application programming interface. It is basically a function module, but it is there are something called business objects in SAP. So for every business object, there are methods and attributes associated with those business objects. So BAPIs are methods of those business objects implemented as a function module. Because for example, a business object is invoice. So what methods can it have? It can have, say, create invoice, display invoice, change invoice. And these can be 3 methods. Now you want to build those functionality as API. So what you will do is you will create function modules, the RFC function module for those methods, and you can have those methods be called from remote system and do whatever changes it has to in SAP. And from a great point of view, these are the most preferred way of updating SAP database. Because if you use any other method or you do hard coding or you actually go on writing sequence to modify the database, it may not be as robust as it would be in case of BAPI. Because even if there is some change in standard SAP object, BAPI would already be taken care, because it is also standard. SAP would have taken care that whatever changes it is making, it is accepting appropriately in all the instances where